What is up, class? My name is Jacob Hyatt. So it is currently Sunday night, and I'm spending some time with my lovely boyfriend. Say hello, Adam.
Hello.
So, we wanted to do a little baking tonight, so we have a little box of brownies that we're going to be working on. So, baking is one of, I would say, two major types of cooking, in which, so going back to some of our lectures earlier this week, baking is, it's definitely more of a science geared cooking thing. So, when we're baking, you have to be very specific, or else you're going to end up with something that's incorrect. So, as we go along with this, I'm going to show you a little bit of what that looks like. All right, and so what we have here is I've gathered all the ingredients we need so far. So we have, of course, the brownie mix itself. We have quarter cup of water, third a cup of vegetable oil, an egg, and we also got out some chocolate chips just because we both like sweet stuff. All right, so now it's going to be time for us to incorporate all the ingredients. So I'm going to start by pouring our dry ingredients in here, which is basically just, powder. So from this point, we're going to add the wet ingredients. So I'm going to add the water first. I'm going to add our vegetable oil. Then I'm going to crack an egg. So typically when I crack an egg, I give it a couple good cracks. Then it opens very easy, just like that. We're just going to mix. So, of course, this step you can use a whisk. I'm using a spatula in this case since it's just going to be a little bit easier to scrape it off the sides. And we're going to cut down on a little bit of cleaning, not have to clean, a spatula also when we inevitably put it into another dish. So right now, to incorporate it, I'm basically just folding it in on itself. And I think one of the important things to note with this is, so we're living in the United States, and here we really work with cups, quarts, gallons. Meanwhile, if you were coming from another part of the world, if you were looking at somewhere like the UK or Germany or even Asian nations such as China and Japan, you're probably going to be working more in milliliters. So you might still have be told to work with one egg, but instead of a quarter cup of water, they're going to probably put that in a unit of milliliters. That's probably something we're going to have to work with in class. So much of the world does not use, the U.S. customary system does not use cups and gallons, and we're going to have to be able to convert in between these and actually figure out what we're doing. Because, if we find a recipe written by, someone living in, Germany, they're not going to use the same measurements we are. And that's really just going to be an important system we have to learn. So while my lovely boyfriend is continuing to mix for us, I want to talk about a little bit of the ambiance of where we are. So we're actually in Hickory, North Carolina right now. I'm talking from Adam's house. So Adam has, really nice kitchen. We're getting to work in, a lot of nice little utensils and appliances and everything. Of course, we have our sous chef Sparky down here. We couldn't do anything without him. But I think this is just a really nice part of at-home cooking culture, is just having a nice little area that you can work in. In terms of things like sounds, really the only ambiance we have right now is the hum of the refrigerator. We could put on music right now if we wanted to. It's really just up to whatever we want to do while we're, practicing this cooking culture. Okay, and now we're going to work on preheating the oven. So we're doing this a little bit later. Adam's also put on some music, a little something for us to listen to. So we're going to set it to 325, just following the instructions. And so this is another thing that we just want to talk a little bit about with making this kind of stuff. So, baking is a very specific thing that we need to do. If we are cooking at wrong temperatures, if we're using the wrong amount of ingredients, it can affect just a variety of things. So our brownies could cook faster on the outside than on the inside, and we might end up with something that's like too gooey or unsafe to eat if we're using the wrong temperature. If we're using too much flour, we might end up with something that's too thick and really not that good. It's really important that we were actually working with what we're told to do, and that's why a lot of these recipes have been mastered throughout the years. And in the case of the box brownies that we're using, you've had scientists actually sit down and work through this step by step, figuring out what is the best way for someone at home to cook this stuff. So now, continuing with what we're doing, so we've properly mixed all of our ingredients together and formed a nice little brownie batter. We are definitely going to be tasting a little bit of what's left over. In the United States, everything is pasteurized, it's pretty safe to eat. So first we're going to grease the pan so that we're actually able to get our brownies out correctly. So I have the lovely Adam helping with this. So now we're going to add our brownie batter into the mixture. So this is why I just wanted to start out using a spatula to begin with. This was actually Adam's idea, so absolutely kudos to him. We have less stuff to have to clean afterwards since we were going to need a spatula to scoop everything out. And we're going to get everything out of our little bowl into what we're going to cook it in. And after that, we're going to smooth it out some so we don't have a rough and uneven top. So now we're going to add some chocolate chips on top. So hopefully those will melt while we're cooking and it'll just form a nice little chocolatey gooey layer on top. Maybe even a little bit of crust. I don't know. We'll have to see how it looks when we're done. All right. So now we have everything into our little cooking dish. So I'm going to taste test a little bit of the brownie batter. Some people will say don't do this. I say I've been taste testing batter throughout my entire life and never gotten sick for it, so I'm not going to stop now. I think it's the best part of baking, so I'm going to try a little bit. I think it's very good. It's a little thicker than I was expecting. It's a little thicker than some brownie batters I've had in the past. It's very sweet. It's got a very more cacao taste than this like very sweet milk chocolate flavor that you might expect. So I'm expecting these brownies will probably come out tasting a little bit more like this like rich cacao flavor, maybe like a little dark chocolate tasting. I'm really excited. I guess we'll check back in and see how it's looking in a little bit. Alright, so we have our delectable brownie batter here already in our dish and everything, and our oven is preheated. So we're going to go ahead and just slide that in. Hopefully I don't burn myself. I've done that way too many times to count on ovens. Still have some burns left over. So now it's ready to go, and we are supposed to cook for 39 to 43 minutes. So we're going to be waiting a good while. And in that time, how about let's have a little Sparky intermission. All right, so we have our brownies here. So they've cooked for about 40 minutes now. So I'm going to check and see real quick if they're done. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to pull out the fork after it's gone in the middle. We're looking to see if there's like brownie residue. So the fork actually looks pretty clean. I'm going to do it one more time just to make sure. So came out a little bit that time, but I think that was just from where I went in straight on top of a chocolate chip. But I think it's ready to come out. All right, so as you can see, our brownies are done. We've added some homemade ice cream with it. So I'm really excited to try this. I think it's going to be really good. So I'm going to get a little bit of the brownie to start out with. Wow, that was good. So the brownie is definitely a little more dense, almost like a fudge-like consistency. Definitely a little darker of a chocolate flavor, not like dark chocolate flavor, but definitely not milk chocolate. I'm gonna get a little bit of the ice cream now to go along with it. Wow, those really pair perfectly with each other. The chocolate ice cream is a hot chocolate ice cream. So it's a little less sweet than the brownie is. So they really like balance each other out very well. I would say this was a pretty good victory.